actually going to be using my crock pot to make some home canned tomato soup. It is going to be really delicious, and I think you're really going to enjoy this. If you've got tomatoes maybe left over from last season, I've got a lot of them that were from my freezer. I'm trying to get my freezer cleaned out and ready for the next canning season, so I'm going to take advantage of it. My husband loves tomato soup, and so I'm going to can some homemade tomato soup. Now, these are some of the tomatoes and peppers that I have left over from last year. I've actually got quite a few. Now, my large crock pot broke, so I'm going to be using a couple of small crock pots because I'm going to be busy today, but we'll see how much we can get made out of these 2 crock pots. These are frozen solids, so I'm actually going to put these on low and just kind of let them defrost a little bit. So it looks like I'll be able to get 2 of these big bags in here of these tomatoes. And I'm going to put the peppers in. Now the peppers are all diced up, so these are going to fit in just fine. This is actually going to, as they defrost, it's going to make a lot of liquid, so I'll be draining some of that off later. I'm basically going to put half of the peppers in each of my crock pots. And then I'm also going to chop up an onion. All right, so I'm going to add about a half of an onion to each of these pots. So each of these pots has about a cup of peppers. I've got several different kind of tomatoes that were from my garden last year. I've got celebrity tomatoes. I've got, you know, these Better Boys, Early Girls. I've just got all kinds of good tomatoes from my garden. So this is going to make a really delicious tomato soup. So all I'm going to do at this point is just put the lid on both of these pots, these crock pots, and I'm going to turn them on high for about an hour because I want them to start defrosting. And as they do, actually I'm going to turn them on low right away until the tomatoes heat up a little bit, and then I'm going to turn them on high. And I want to have them cook for about an hour. I'm going to drain off some of the liquid, and then I'm going to add some broth, and I'll show you how I turn this into soup. Tonight's meal is going to be 100% from either from my pantry or my freezer. I've got my home canned chicken that we're going to make into some delicious chicken salad. And then my tomatoes, peppers, onion, everything was from my garden. Well, the onion wasn't. That came from the grocery store. But everything else is from my garden. So as you might have noticed, I have a different outfit on. It's a different day. I ended up taking the tomatoes out of the crock pot at the end of the day, and I just was too tired to actually finish them. So I put them in the refrigerator overnight, and so now I'm going to put them through a food mill. I want to get the skins and the seeds out of them. So let me show you how I do that. So without any seasonings or anything, these tomatoes smell absolutely amazing. So what I'm going to do right now is just put some of these tomatoes in my food mill. If you've never seen a food mill, they're basically a little tool that you can use to push your ingredients through the food mill, and it keeps the bigger things out of your food, like, you know, seeds and skins is a good example. So let me show you how it works. I just put my tomatoes right inside the mill, just like this. And I'm using a medium-sized blade because I want to be able to, you know, get some of the onions and some of that peppers and everything through, but a lot of this is already going to be in the tomatoes. And then after we're all done with this process, then we're going to go through and add our seasonings and cook down our tomato soup. So the key to making this work really good is going back and forth. You want to turn your materials like this and just keep pushing them through the food mill. You're going to get all the good stuff out of it, and you're going to be left with just, like I said, the seeds and the skins. It's really easy. This will really only take me a couple of minutes. Again, you want to go forward and back because that's what's going to catch all these skins and seeds. And I just keep doing this until these are kind of dry. I want to get as much out of this as possible. So let me finish this up and I'll show you how it looks in just a couple minutes. Actually, let me show you real quick how it looks. This is your soup. It's going to be wonderful. It's not going to have any seeds or anything like that in it. It's going to be really nice. So from these 2 bags of whole tomatoes, I ended up with all of this tomato juice. Now this has been cooked all day in the crock pots with onions and peppers. And this is what's left over of the skins, the larger pieces of onion, and these can go right into your compost pile. All right, so let me show you what I add to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some bay leaves to mine. And be sure when you're all done to make sure to, you know, fish out these bay leaves. You don't want these in your soup when you're eating them. So the next thing I'm going to add is a little bit of sugar. Now I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons. And the reason I do this is just to help cut down some of that bitter taste from the tomatoes. I've got my Homestead Patch herbs and I'm putting these in because they've got some oregano. So I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of that, maybe a little bit more. Those are really, really good. I've got some garlic. I'm going to put some garlic in. This is garlic powder. I've got some Thai basil. I'm going to put some of that in, maybe about a little bit more than a tablespoon. And this is a lot of soup. Remember, this was from two full bags of tomatoes. I'm going to put about a teaspoon of salt in. And then the last thing I'm going to add, it's optional if you want it or not, is a little bit of red pepper flakes. I kind of like that flavor in my soup. So maybe about a quarter of a teaspoon, not a lot. Just give it a little stir. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this on the stove and start cooking it down until it's the consistency that I want. Now, as you can see, it's already kind of thick. It just looks amazing. If I was canning tomato sauce or pasta sauce, this is probably the consistency that I would can it at because it's going to cook in the pressure cooker. But we're going to cook this on the stove and we'll get this soup to the consistency that I like it, and I'll show you how it is as soon as it's done. So my tomato soup has started to cook. I'm just going to bring it up to a simmer and get it reduced to the consistency that I want for tomato soup. So I'll bring you back in a little while and we'll take another look at it then. So my tomato soup is all cooked. I'm going to go ahead and show you how it came out, serve it up, and show you what I'm going to be serving it with. So this soup came out so good. It's just absolutely gorgeous. I've already sampled it. It tastes really good. Now, as I said, you want to make sure to get these little bay leaves out of your soup. I do see one here. So I'm just going to pour up a nice bowl of this tomato soup. Now, I didn't add anything at all to thicken this soup. It just, it's thick because I cooked it until it was reduced down. Now I'm going to be serving this tomato soup with some crusty sourdough bread that I just made, and it's going to make a really delicious meal. Another good suggestion is if you like grilled cheese, kind of tomato soup and grilled cheese pairs very well together. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a try. Oh my gosh. You can't beat homemade tomato soup. You just can't beat it. It doesn't even compare to anything that you would buy in the store. These are my homegrown tomatoes made into homemade tomato soup. So thank you for watching today. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Give me a thumbs up, a like, and I hope that I'll see you next time. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.